We now look at some of the loose ends in terms of project evaluation and investment returns calculation for the projects, and try and tighten those loose ends as we go along. We also look at the problems that come ahead with the using of IRR or NPV as a rule, and how do we kind of keep that in mind, and how do we take care of these issues that crop up from time to time, right? So we are now towards the last portion of this unit, and we're going to discuss this unit in terms of its totality here. So far, what we have seen projects is that it's an independent project that the company has to take, right? Now, in real life, that is seldom the case. Very rarely does that happen. Most often, the firm has to choose between variety of projects. These projects are thus known as mutually exclusive projects because either due to the lack of resources to be able to take more than one project, or lack of need of two or three projects at the same time. So firms typically choose one out of many projects. When firms choose one out of many project, this is a matter of choice, and the choice is going to depend on some sort of a rule. Whether we use NPV as a rule, or we use IRR as a rule, or we use something else as a rule, it becomes important for us to, however, understand where does what rule work and where does what rule not work, right? So that's the important understanding that we have when we're looking at mutually exclusive projects. Mutually exclusive projects would be projects where you would choose one at the expense of the other, right? Now, what do you do if you have mutually exclusive projects and when you're comparing them? So you could ideally look at the return on equity or return on capital of the projects and pick the one with the highest return on capital, the one we used with respect to the accounting earnings, and try and find out whichever one of those has the highest accounting earnings. We use that and we kind of go ahead with that analysis. We could look at the NPV of projects, which will work on cash flows, and pick the one with the highest NPV. Or we could look at the IRR of the projects and pick the one with the highest IRR. Right now, note IRR is basically the maximum rate at which you can raise capital so that the project is still profitable. Right? If the hurdle rate or cost of capital is greater than IRR, then you reject the project, right? So remember, IRR is the highest rate at which you can borrow the money for a project and the project still becoming viable, which basically means the higher the IRR, the more your chances of taking the project, because you could borrow money even at a higher rate and take that project, right? Now, while most of the times the NPV and IRR give the same weightage and same analysis of the project in different projects, they could sometimes select different projects. Now, there are some rare cases when you're comparing two projects and one of the project ranks higher on the NPV rule and another one ranks higher on the IRR rule. Now, in these cases, how do we go about dealing with the scenarios and the issues is what is going to be the crux of this discussion, right? Let's take the example of a project that has this set of cash flows in years 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? The first chunk that we see is that this is a non-conventional or unconventional cash flow. Why? Is because it starts with a negative cash flow. Typically, your conventional cash flows are negative cash flow, and then you have positive, positive, positive all the way through. The moment there is another negative cash flow, that's an unconventional or non-conventional cash flow, right? Let's try and calculate the IRR for this kind of a cash flow. So let's go to our Excel file for this and let's try and calculate the IRR for this set of cash flows. Remember, these are the years we are looking at and these are the cash flows. So if I were to calculate the IRR here, I just do a simple IRR calculation, put all these values in the formula, and we get a rate of around 6.60%, correct? Now there is a trick here. There's an interesting thing we are going to try is we're going to do another IRR formula